Hi, students. Welcome to your Lesson 8 learning lesson for today. So, today, this is our eighth day into our eighth lesson into our Unit 3 poetry lesson. So, how are you liking it, guys, so far? I hope you're really enjoying this poetry lesson unit and just learning more about poetry, figurative language, and just the creativity that is poetry, right? So, today, for Lesson 8, we're going to read our poem named or called, the title is called Traveling. And we'll be able to identify a really cool literary device called illusion and be able to discuss the effect it has on the poem, while also we're going to be able to analyze the characters' actions, what they're doing, the setting where it's taking place, and be able to make inferences about what's going on. Okay, so let's start by going over our core vocabulary and learning about our author. So our we have one core vocabulary word, and it is veteran, a person who has been in the military. So do you know a veteran? Maybe your uncle or your aunt or someone that might have been in the military. And our literary vocabulary word that we're going to focus on this lesson is illusion. It is an indirect reference to an outside work of art or a cultural figure, right? So it's an indirect, a way to relate to without saying we are, but just to relate to it. Indirect, so means not directly, so it's not saying for sure, that not like right there, but just giving clues and using figurative language and things like that to relate to it, right? So this is our poem. His name is Simon Ortez. He was born in 1941. That means he's alive, and he's also born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Has anybody ever been to New Mexico? And he attended both a Native American school until he was learning English as his second language, right? So continue to read over. It's always good to read and know who our author of our poem is, so the poet, so that we can all have a little background knowledge as to why he wrote certain things and the background knowledge on the poem. So let's continue and begin reading our poem. So this is our poem, Traveling. Look at the map here. Wow, okay. So a man has been in the VA library all day long, looking at the maps, the atlas, and the globe, finding places. Acapulco, the Bay of Beagle, Antarctica, Madagascar, Rome, Luxembourg, places. He writes their names on a letter pad, hurries to another source, asks the librarian for a book, but it's out and he looks and he but it for a book, but it is just out, and he looks hurt, and then he rushes back to the globe, turns it a few times, and finds Yokohama and then the Alatan Islands. Later on, he studies Cape Cod for a moment, a fair glee on his face, in his eyes. He is Guayan, he is Coyote, he is he is who he is, traveling the known and unknown places. Traveling, traveling. Okay, so boys and girls, let's start asking some questions. What does the man put on his list? So let's look and remember that you should, before pause. I forgot to remind you, pause. Make sure that you label your stanzas and your lines. That's one of the first things that you should do. Okay, so now let's ask some questions. What does the man put on his list? What does he put on his list? Okay, right here it says he put the man list includes the names of places, right? So he writes down their names. So he writes down these names here: the Acapulco, the Bay of Bugle. Good job. What places does he find? He finds Acapulco, the Bay of Bugle, right here. These places here is what he finds. What kind of locations do these names describe? So you think about it. You write that down. You think about that. What locations do these names describe? Okay, so let's continue on to our next portion of our lesson. Great job reading with me, boys and girls.